Welcome to LDO Offroad. I'm Zach Eastwood. In this episode, we're going to build the front bumper and winch mount for the Land Cruiser. This is my first time building a bumper and also the largest welding project I've taken on in years. One day I found this bull bar winch mount on Facebook Marketplace, and so I bought it for 40 bucks, hoping I could make it work for the Land Cruiser. Of course, it didn't fit the Toyota. I think it was probably made for a full-size Chevy or Ford, but I figured it would give me a good start, and the winch mount portion alone was worth the $40. Okay, so this is the bumper grill, winch mount grill that I bought, used. I've just got it kind of on jack stands in front of it. And as you can see, it's too wide for the frame, so we need to figure that out. Also, you know, nothing lines up. We're gonna have to kind of make it our own. I'll show you the side. You know, and I'd like to make use of the factory bumper holes. There's a few in there. I think that would make it the strongest if I can attach it through those original bolt holes. But I'd also kind of like to see if I can get these to line up here, right here, so they're not blocking the headlights. And if possible, I'd like to still be able to see the Toyota emblem past this bar. Looks like there's a couple of options for where you want to mount that. So I don't know, I think I'm going to pull it apart and cut it down to a different size, see if I can get everything to line up the way I want. Alright, I removed these two bars from the bull bar here, and they're pretty rusty inside. You can see, I think somebody drilled some holes for lights and they got water in there, and maybe the paint job wasn't very good, I don't know, but there's all kinds of wrinkling from rust and stuff, so I'll see what I can do about that. But at this point I need to make this thing shorter. Right now it's 32 inches inside these two, and I need 30 inches, so I need to lose an inch each side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these down, and I'll have to take this out, just grind the welds out, and then after I cut it down, replace it in there and weld it in place. And then I'll have to do that on this one as well. This one isn't rusty, kind of nice. And then I'll have to gain or lose 2 inches here as well, and so these are bolted on, and you can see some welds in here. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this here and move this piece to the inside, and that'll gain me a little bit, and then I can still use these bolts. I may see if I can put extra spacers in there before doing that to gain a little bit or lose a little bit more, or maybe I'll put spacers between this and the frame. Anyway, we'll kind of piece it together and see what we think. So here's the frame, and if I measure from the outside here to the outside here, I got 30 inches, and I'd really like to use these 3 holes. They've already got the nut screwed on the ins or welded on the inside, so they're tapped. And that's where the original bumper was on, these 2 here. So if I can incorporate all 3, I feel like that's going to be strong, and that's kind of what I'd like to do. So okay, so I'd like to take that hole by my knee and line it up with that frame hole there. So incorporate that. So that would bring that to about there. And then the rest of it would line up all right. Obviously, I'll pull it away a little bit. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And that means it's too long. It sticks out and it hits that body mount there. So we got to cut it off after that hole before that mount. Okay, so sorry the shadows are all messing with me. I got that bolted on there, well, loosely, but you can see it's bumping into this brackety thing that sticks out past the frame. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'll cut it right here, like that, and then I might actually weld the new bumper thing to this bracket, and that will make it attached not only by these 3 side bolts but also 2 from underneath, and that's gonna be so strong. Yeah. Well, I read my shirt. Don't grind with a polyester shirt. I guess sporty shirts shouldn't be in the welding shop. Okay, now it's fastened. I cut around that. That gap's a little wider than what I wanted, but I can fill that with weld. Fitting all tight, and things are lining up over here. Looking good. So I've got the basics put together here. You can see that I've got the main support here coming down, and then I've got 3 bolts drilled in there, fastened into the, let me get a light for you, fastened into the factory bolts in the frame. And then here, this was on this side, on the outside, so I put spacers in there and welded them in, and then attached this to the inside. I had to cut out this to create a slot for it to slide into, and then I got these grade 10 bolts to hold it in there, and obviously the same on this side. So we've got it welded together. Now I've just got to do the tubing that goes across the top here, and then the plan is to build kind of some wings here along the side here, but we're getting closer. So I went ahead and added a weld in right here, and again and also on the bottom and on the other side, because I realized that with the winch mounted on this plate, The only thing that really is holding this plate from moving forward is the welds along the front here that hold it to this front piece. It's the front piece that is actually fastened to my verticals, which is fastened to the frame. So I really needed these welds in here to give this some strength. So I went to the steel yard today after work and I picked up a piece of angle iron that I'll use for the wings on the bumper. I'll show you right now. This is the piece that I got. It cost me 15 bucks. I just got it out of the remnants pile, and I'll use, it'll be two halves, two pieces there, and they're gonna go on the sides of the bumper right here and right here, and that'll protect this and bring the bumper all the way across to the edge of the car. So we're gonna start cutting that. I made a cardboard template just to kind of figure out my angle. It's gonna go something like that. I haven't decided if I'm gonna slide it to the back or keep it here, but that helped me figure out the angle. Cool. So I used my template to figure out what angle I need to be here, and I used my speed square to copy that angle on here. It's a 10-degree angle, and that'll follow the lines on the truck. Okay, I got one side cut, and it's gonna go up here like this, but I'm actually thinking about pushing it back like that because it covers up that ugliness in there. And it looks nice and tight like that, but of course that means I gotta fill that back in there with something. Gotta make some kind of a bracket to hold that. So now that. Okay, so I got it cut to size and I've got it welded in place, and I kind of built a little bit of a support right here, welded it in, and I also did the other side over here. So that one's in there, and it's starting to look kind of like a bumper. Look at that. Feeling pretty good about that. So now I want to build, let's see if I can show you over here. Now I want to put a flat piece here to enclose this and create kind of a triangle shape. And then I want to put an end cap on here that's kind of triangle shaped here, but then also comes up this way into another triangle to kind of cover up that there, just to hide that kind of ugly looking. So I have this old sheet of plate steel. It's like maybe 3/16 thick, that's been kicking around in my garage for years, and so I think I'll cut those pieces out of this. So I've got these rectangles cut out, and I'm going to fit them to the bottom of this part of the bumper to create a triangle. But I need to make it match up against all this brackety stuff that I created. So I'm going to get under it like this, and lay it where I want it, like this. And you can see that it doesn't really line up with all the brackets, so there's all these spaces. So you can see I've been just cutting out little pieces so that it lines up to it. Now we call this scribing it. So I'm just taking my pencil, and when I recognize more needs to get cut out, I just draw a little line with the pencil, and then I grind that off and then come match it back up to it until it lines up how I want it to. And then I've got enough on the other side, extra running off the other side, so that I can, once this is fitting here, then I can cut that side flush to fit. Make sense? Okay, so I think maybe you can see that a little better now. I've got it cut to match pretty well. Kind of some funny cuts there. And then I've got the length cut over here. So I'm going to tack that into place, and then you can see that hole right there. I'm going to see if I can put a little triangular piece in there to kind of fill in that gap and close it off so that it kind of comes together nicely. Okay, I got the other side tacked on as well. Next I want to build some pieces that follow this triangle shape here, and then another triangle on this side to cover up this stuff. That'll cap it off nice. But so far we've got the nice triangle look here. You can probably set a drink here or something. It's coming together. Okay, so I made this cardboard stencil, little cutout. It'll cap the end of that as well as cover up that. And I checked it on this side. Sorry, my lighting isn't very good over here, but fits there, covers up all that ugliness. So I gotta cut these out. So over here, I got this goofy piece of metal here. Get one there. Get the other one there. Okay, I got it cut out. Now I'm going to tack weld it in place. Okay, I got my end caps tacked into place. They cap off the bumper and they cover up the ugliness under there. And ooh, we're getting there. So obviously I gotta finish welding it, but getting the basic shape how we want it. We got it on this side too. Feeling pretty good about that. So now, next I want to get a piece under here to cover up, protect stuff shooting up into the radiator or anything. Well, we got a problem. That's my biggest cutoff wheel, and all my batteries are charging. So I think we need to make a trip to the store. We'll let the batteries charge and I'll buy some more cutoff wheels. Red, go. Go on. Okay, I took it off the truck and just giving you kind of a peek. Now I'm just get ready to weld it. It's all tacked together. I have a couple spots, a little triangle I'll put here, And on the other side too, here, just to fill in the little gap. And then on the back side here, I'm probably gonna have to fill that up too. Put some kind of a plate on there. You can't see because of the shadows there, but anyway, now I get to weld it all together. So you can see here, I put one piece here, a second little piece here, and a third little piece here. Kind of ghetto, but I'll weld it up and it'll be solid. It's just a way of using up some of the cut off scrap pieces, and it's not really a structural spot necessarily, but once it's all welded up, it'll be a solid piece, nice and strong, and it'll do what I need it to do by filling up that hole. Okay, I've got everything welded up. Some of those welds are okay and some of them are not pretty, but everything's welded up and I've got those ends enclosed, and so now I'm gonna spend some time just grinding and using the flap disc to soften it and get all the splatter off of it, and maybe I'll find some welds I want to fill or redo, but this is kind of the prep stage, cleaning it up, prepping for paint. Okay, so here's the bumper all welded up and primed and ready to be painted, or I'm probably going to do like a spray on bed liner. But before I do that, I just want to do a final check and make sure the winch fits. So I bought this Badland winch, and you all know where. And I'm going to install it in here because I'm a little concerned that this bar might be too low. It may not fit in here. So I want to figure all that out before I spray the bed liner and before I put it on the truck. So I'm going to do that now. But don't make these light. Oh, it's going to be close. Okay. So the winch does fit in here. I have to move this bar up to a higher hole. I was hoping to put it here, but obviously this is in the way, and so I got to move it up. And the reason I was trying to avoid that is on the truck, I was actually trying to keep things out of the way of the Toyota name there, just to keep that exposed. I think it's kind of cool, but the Badlands solenoid goes right here, and then so then that bar will be up here right above it. I was hoping to keep everything down out of the way, but maybe I just need to get over it. So there it is. We got the bumper all attached to the Land Cruiser. Everything's all done. Obviously I don't have the winch on there yet, but it went pretty well. I got everything mounted mounted on to the frame there, and everything turned out really well. I like how the sides here cover up the body section here. Everything's really clean. I like that look. I'm pretty happy with the with the bed liner. This is the Rust-Oleum spray-on bed liner. It's not quite as textured as I thought. I thought it'd be a little bit rougher of a texture. It's a pretty fine texture, and I'm okay with that, but we'll see how well it holds up. I got probably 2 or 3 coats on there, and anyway, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks pretty professional, not too homemade. Anyway, I'm excited about it. Next will be the winch, but I'd say this was a successful build. Well, I finished building the bumper for the Land Cruiser. To be honest, I'm kind of proud of myself. That was the first steel welding project of that size that I've ever done, and I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. There was 2 things I was surprised about with the whole build. One was it was actually not as complicated as I expected. Figuring out what size each piece should be, how to cut it, how to weld it in place. It was just kind of one step at a time, and overall it was an easier process than I thought. I expected it to be more complicated. I expected there to be more trial and error and having to redo pieces, and in the end it actually went pretty smooth. The other thing that I was surprised about was actually how long it took. It took many hours. I'd come home from work, get home about 5 o'clock, and go out into the shop for an hour or 2, sometimes 3 hours. There was one night I was out here till 10:30 at night, and it took many nights and a couple weekends, and I would say I probably put 10 to 15 hours into it. And I can say now I understand why the professional bumpers out there are $1,000 or $1,100. I can see why. I'm sure they do them on a production line or whatever. But in any case, it took a lot of my own hours to build it, and so I can see why they cost so much. I'm glad I did my own. It was a fun experience. It was a good learning experience for me. But I couldn't blame someone for just purchasing one. But if you feel creative, if it's something you would want to do for yourself, I'd encourage you to do it. I thought one of the easy aspects of my build was that I bought kind of the core, that grill guard with the winch mount. I bought that used, $40, and that was a good starting place for me. I did have to disassemble it and resize it to fit the Land Cruiser frame, but it still gave me something to work with, and then I could build off of that, and that made for an easier first time build, I think. So maybe if you want to do your own, maybe you could look for something that like that, some kind of core piece to start out with, even if it was just the winch plate, and you built from there. I think that would probably be an easiest way to go. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. Maybe you learned something. I know I learned a lot in this build, and it was a lot of fun, very encouraging actually, and I feel good having done it and succeeded at it. So thank you.